So when I go to create a flawless face, I grab my concealers. I don't do this every day. This is not a everyday kind of thing because concealer can look kind of heavy during the day when applied all over the face. So generally when I do this, I'm going somewhere to an event, to a party, going out for the evening because I find that this wears very well, it looks well all night long, and it just covers all your imperfections perfectly and flawlessly. I also kind of cream contour when I do this as well. So just before we jump into this, what you are going to need is you are going to need 3 different concealers. One that is the same shade as your skin, so the same shade as your foundation. One that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin, and then one that is 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin. Then you're also going to need your favorite method of blending. So whether it is the Beauty Blender or your flat top kabuki brush, you really use whatever you are most comfortable with to blend. So with that being said, let's jump right into this and get our flawless faces with concealer. So the first step I take after I prime my face and let that kind of settle in for a minute is I apply this Light FX Highlighting Complexion Enhancer from Skin Cosmetics. This is a super shimmery kind of cream highlighter that's got a little bit of a pink tone to it, but that's not really noticeable. But you do get this really nice highlight from it. And I apply that anywhere that I would naturally highlight. So I'm just going to do this how I would normally do this, and that is starting with the lightest shade. I tend to work from lightest to darkest when I do this because it's just easier for me to do it that way. So taking my Pro Longwear, I'm just going to put a pump of that on the back of my hand. You don't need any more than that. And then I'm first going to start applying that under my eyes and bringing that back towards my temples. And I am shearing this out quite a bit to make sure that it is a thin layer because concealer can get really heavy really fast. Then as you can see, I've applied that down the bridge of my nose, center of my forehead, my chin, and my Cupid's bow. And I'm going to go ahead and blend this step out. And I'm just going to start blending this out. And I blend out each step as I go because I feel like it won't be as heavy as I go, you know? And I'm just blending those colors where I want them to be. Just really pushing them into the skin, that kind of stuff. So now that I've got that blended out how I want it, I'm going to take my MAC Select Cover, which is the one that's the same color as my skin tone, and apply that in between the contours and the highlight areas. So I'm just going to dot that here on this side of my face, just like in a weird line. Then I'm going to go around the area that I highlighted. And then down the sides of my nose. And then bringing it in around the corners of my nose. Then I'm also going to take that down on my jawline. This is a very thin consistency concealer as well, so you can go a little bit more heavy-handed with this one if you want to, but I am just dotting it where I want it. So basically just like that, you just want to hit the areas around where you are going to apply your contour shade. So then because NC20 is actually a bit pale for me, like I'm in between NC20 and NC15 right now, I'm going to take this True Match concealer in W123 and just kind of lightly just kind of connect everything, and you can see that that is a little bit darker. And I'm just going to kind of draw a light, thin line with that using, as you can see, I'm wiping most of the product off on the inside, inner rim of the container, and I'm just going to put that in because it is a little bit lighter, so it'll make a better skin match. I look really funky right now. And then I'm just going to blend all of that out with my Beauty Blender and I will be right back. So then once I have that very thin layer of concealer, let me stress how thin of a layer that actually turns out to be. Like, I still need to go in and conceal blemishes and that kind of thing. We are not caking on the concealer when we do this because it just ends up too heavy and too cakey looking because concealers are a heavier consistency. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in number 20, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that over this dark spot here because I'm actually using this as a kind of cream contour. And then over these as well. So that will conceal those. Now I'm actually going to apply some of this under my chin. Not under my chin, under my lip. Then I'm going to go down the sides of my nose. Really, you just want to apply this how you would naturally contour. You just want to keep it very light-handed. So then I'm going to, again, blend all of that out with my Beauty Blender. And as you can see, that also covers up the darker marks that I have on the side of my face. So you're doing kind of double duty with the darker shade. You're kind of warming up your face and contouring and covering any blemishes that would be in that area. So then for the perimeter of my face, I am using both of these. I'm using the CoverGirl one first as the very outer portion of it, and I also did the same thing on my jawline, and then I just kind of dotted the Maybelline one there to just add a little bit more dimension to the color that's going to be there. And then just blend that out. As you can see, I'm actually waiting to conceal any blemishes that are not in the areas that I'm working because I want to make sure that I'm not going to actually cover them with concealer in the process because I don't want to use too much. Like, you really want to be light-handed with this. So now you want to pick up your original concealer you used for the area where your blemish is that you want to conceal. So, like, I have this one right here, but I'm actually going to use the Studio Finish Concealer in NC20, which is the same color as this one, to conceal that blemish. However, if you had one, say, here in the center area where we applied a lighter color foundation, you would want to take your lighter colored foundation and apply that on that area of the face. So I also have the Studio Finish Concealer in NC15 for that purpose, but I don't actually have any blemishes in that area. I do have this one here that I'm just going to cover a little bit. I've got some going on over here. Most of this is actually scarring rather than blemishes down around my chin, but just want to cover it up anyway. So then once I have all my blemishes concealed, I work very much in the same fashion as I did with the concealer. I start with my lightest powder and work to my darkest. So first I'm going to take my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, which is a white transparent powder, and I'm going to set the areas that I highlighted with this powder because it does have like shimmery reflecting particles in it, which again would help to keep that area highlighted and shiny looking. Not that you want to look shiny, but you want it highlighted. We'll just stick with that. then to set pretty much the rest of my face, I'm using my Coty Airspun Loose Powder, and I'm using a duo fiber brush because it picks up less product is basically the only reason I'm using this. And again, you're trying to keep this super light, powder-wise anyway. And you just want to blend that into the lightest powder. If you're using colored powders, you want to blend them all together so you get kind of that seamless gradient going on. You don't want to end up with like lines, because that's not what we're going for here. And I am buffing this instead of patting it because I do want to kind of make sure everything blends and is, you know, buffed in. So then, because I am focusing on not a whole lot of pigmentation in my powders, I'm going to use this CoverGirl Smoothers Pressed Powder in the shade 720 Translucent Honey to set that contour. I'm just going to use my contour brush like normal. And this does have a little bit of color to it, but it's not like, whoa bam, you're super contoured. So then I'm just going to work that over where my darkest concealer shade would be. So that finishes my flawless face with concealer look. It can also be considered cream contour because it involves those steps too. So I hope you guys found this useful or helpful. And I thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.